This stream is sponsored by IGK TAS, telemetry analysis system powered by IGK. Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TTML F1. We are here tonight for season number 6, round number 6 of the championship, as we take it, of course, the Russian Grand Prix from the Sochi Autodrome. My name is James Head. You can tell I've been busy during the day with the 24 Hours of F1 events. We are live, of course, here at the Sochi Autodrome. My name is, of course, James Head. I'm going to be taking you through the stream. Joining me in the comment box is Mr. Luke Etheridge. Luke, how you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Good evening, James. Good evening, everybody that is watching at home. I think, like you, I'm feeling a bit tired from the 24-hour event, but hopefully this Russian Grand Prix should provide plenty of action. A bit like some of the other circuits that we go to on the calendar. In the real life, it's not known for providing the most exciting races, 2021 perhaps being an exception. Hopefully, though, we'll get plenty of good action tonight.
Yeah, sim racing community always brings together a very good race, I think, in Russia. We always come here in the sim world, and it always seems to be a very good race. Certainly when I've commentated on one, so hopefully it is going to be the same, of course, tonight. Reminding you of what happened, of course, in the Netherlands. It was, of course, Jensen who took another win, his 4th out of 5 wins here in TTML F1. He won from nowhere in second, Links in third. Looking at the standings coming into tonight as well, Jensen leading the way. He will lead into Christmas at least on 133.5 points. Links in second on 72, and I've got to say it's very close further down the field. Tom Robbo in third on 68.5, Fleddy in fourth on 62.5, Zerdema in fifth on 56.5, Rudy in sixth on 50.5, Funky Chicken in seventh on 47, Black Box in sixth on 46, Connor in ninth on 43.5, and Noah in 10th on 42 points, of course, after his best result of the season. Bunty, Luca, Boss Wanted, Perpetuum, and Dutch Missile runs out the top 15. Nuth, Isu, Harry Banks, Chalkers, and F1 Lover all rounding off the top 20. Jensen, of course, in an unassailable lead going, of course, in towards tonight and certainly, of course, in towards our 2-week break. But the battle for second, well and truly on. Links were very well last week. Tom Robbo, of course, won 2 rounds ago. Where is really the main challenger to Jensen going to come from?
I think pace-wise, you've got to say, from what we've seen so far this season, it's been drivers like Tom Robbo. Connor, of course, ended up getting demoted last week for a pit lane infringement, so he dropped down from what would have been another second place from him. I'd expect one of those to be the drivers who can beat Jensen on pace on any given day. Consistency, though, you've got to say, someone like Lynx, who's had 2 podiums now in a row, is the only driver apart from Jensen and Tom Robbo to have multiple podiums this season. Zoidem has been fairly consistent, barring his retirement last time out. But I think, realistically, you're going to need Tom Robbo or Connor to perhaps go on a bit of a run. And Connor, he's 90 points behind. That is 3 race wins. With 5 races to go, he's probably going to have to rely on a retirement for Jensen to really get himself back, even to having a slim chance in this championship.
You can say that for the majority of the drivers as well, out on track. I mean, we've got Links in second, but he's more than 60 points behind on Jensen. That is basically 2 race victories, barring no fastest laps. So Jensen has got a real stranglehold over the standings so far, even the drivers' standings, certainly. In the constructors, a little bit closer together, but however, McLaren still dominating with Jensen really pulling the weight there for McLaren on 184 points leading the way. Mercedes in second on 134.5. Alpine in third on 103.5. Aston Martin fourth on 88. Ferrari in fifth on 82.5, and they're tied with Williams on the same amount of points. Haas in seventh on 58. AlphaTauri in eighth on 35. Alfa Romeo in ninth on 22.5, and Red Bull in 10th on 21. Again, McLaren seeming like they've got a stranglehold, but they've only relied on one driver, whereas both Fleddy and Links have been doing the even share of the work, and I've got to argue have been more consistent than the McLaren team so far this season.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Rudy had that race that he missed. He's had a DNF as well, I believe, at the Hungarian Grand Prix, whereas Fleddy and Links seem to always be there or thereabouts in the race. Fleddy just picks up those points, was absolutely fantastic, I've got to say, at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, where he got pole in the one-shot qualifying and then a podium in the sprint race, backing it up with a good result in the main race. And Lynx, as I mentioned earlier, has got multiple podiums. He's in that second place in the championship now. But McLaren, with that 50-point lead, of course, Rudy's not been bad. this season. It's just not been able to reach the heights of Jensen. But then again, who has?
Who has? Yeah, Jensen's been just having a stranglehold, as I say, on the field coming in towards tonight. But we are here, of course, for the Russian Grand Prix at the home of the 2014 Winter Olympics. The Sochi Autodrome taking the guys around 5.8 kilometres worth in length, 3.6 mile, as we've taken 18 turns around the former Winter Olympic Park. Of course, 2 DRS zones, one down the start, finish straight in towards turn 2, and then one down the start, finish straight in towards turn 12. And we saw an F2 around here, certainly on Thursday, that there was a real dash for almost down towards turn 2 on the lap 1. And that really caused a bit of a Constantino effect in behind. It was almost 3 wide, I think, down towards turn 1 on that day. I think we could expect more of the same here tonight.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Everyone, when they think about this circuit, thinks about, oh, it's got such a long run. Technically, it's one of the shortest runs on the calendar towards turn number 1, because that flat-out right-hander counts as turn number 1. Towards the first braking zone, it is one of the longest runs on the calendar, so we will see plenty of slipstreaming. I've seen in quite a few leagues, I've seen accidents on the run down towards into turn number 1 with someone getting a bad start, just getting caught out, a bit of contact. Hopefully, we don't get any of that today. Hopefully, we get a nice, clean race. As I can tell you, qualifying is, well, just getting started.
Yeah, qualifying is getting started underneath the bright blue skies here of the Sochi Autodrome. No rain in the forecast by the looks. I'm looking at the rain in terms of the race, and it's going to be sunny. It is going to be overcast, though, towards the end of the race, and plus 60 minutes into the race, it is going to be a 42% chance of rain. So maybe there are sort of inters in the offing right at the end of the race. In qualifying, though, it is going to be all dry and around 9% rain expected. Track temperature of 28 degrees, air temperature of 19, air temperature going up a degree in the race, and then 29 degrees going up again by 1 degree in the race as well. But Tom Robbo, the first man out on track. The Williams have been looking quite consistent, of course. Tom Robbo and Zerdam, of course, he was also in that car tonight. In fact, an Alpine that is behind him. There is another car that I can spot. It's not Chalkers, the other Williams. That's who I was going on board with. But both Williams have been quite consistent. Tom Robbo have been maybe relied upon more than Chalkers, who was a late turn, of course, into the division. But Tom Robbo, how do you fare his chances tonight? I mean, he's got a long way to catch on Jensen, but this could be his track.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before the stream. You mentioned that you've commentated on Jensen in other leagues around here, and I think Jensen said it last time around. This is not really his favourite circuit, the Sochi Autodrome, so he might be finding it a bit tough tonight. And what I am finding interesting is you've seen the two Williams have gone out together here, Tom Robbo and Chalkers, who is a reserve. I wonder if we'll be seeing any teamwork between different drivers, either down that, I say back straight, it is obviously not a straight, there are a few corners involved on it, coming out of turn number 10 all the way down into turn number 13, or on the run through the final corner into turn number 2. If you get some slipstreaming right, you definitely put yourself in a good position.
Yeah, definitely so. It doesn't look like the Williams are going to work together, though. Chalker's well behind on Tom Robbo as he starts up on this lap. We're right on board then with Tom Robbo as he comes through the kink of turn 1 and then in towards, of course, the right and left of turns 2 and 3, which is the first real pinch point on the circuit. Now comes down in towards the right-hander of turn 2 and to the left-hander of turn 3. Nicely negotiated from Tom Robbo. Got a car off to the right-hand side. That's Funky Chicken getting out of the way. Now through the 180-degree hairpin of turn 4. And then the Fish Stadium on the left-hand side where they hosted the Olympic opening ceremony. Through turn 5, the ice hockey arena to the left-hand side. And now we run down towards the Black Sea once again. 33 flat through the first sector from Tom Robbo as he now comes through turn 6 and in towards now the right-hander of turn 7. Get caught on the curb here. He might end up spinning the car. Nicely negotiated though by Tom Robbo as he comes now in towards halfway through the lap and through 8 and through 9, and he invalidates coming through there. Gets caught on the outside curve. The Olympic Park is just in front of him now coming through turn 10, and that's the Olympic Village, I should say. DUS zone a little bit further forward compared to actually what it has been in the past on the F1 games, and now through the kink of 11 and then in towards the left-hander and the right-hander of turns 12 and 13. 104.4 through the middle sector, 31.4 through the middle sector from him, but Chalkers looks like he's going quite a slot, but he's going 6/10 slow actually in the middle sector. Tom Robbo though coming in towards 15 and then through 16 the Liverpudlian looking for, of course, a very good result. Of course, he represented the IFR team in Jeddah in the PSGL Esports Cup on Friday alongside Jensen, and now Tom Robbo coming around the final corner on the run to the line, and it's a 1:30.7 to start off the night. I think that lap time though will be beaten.
Yeah, certainly. He did make a slight mistake, of course, in that middle sector. Lost a bit of time. Fleddy, he's now coming through this very tight, very technical final sector of the lap. A lot of 90-degree corners, that off-camber, almost long chicane that they have to negotiate at 15 and 16 can prove to be quite difficult, but the Mercedes van, he heads towards the line, ends up a couple of tenths down. I think Connor was setting some pretty good times in the Ferrari as well. We'll see what he can do as he goes around the final corner, and he does go fastest of everyone, 1:30.565. If you want to find out how your favourite drivers are doing, of course, you can use the !help command. The help does get posted in the live chat, not in the top chat, so if you're on an iPad or phone or on the desktop app, you do have to, of course, change it over, and you can find out information about all your drivers here in qualifying and here in the race as well. But like you said, I think there's time for Tom Robbo in that lap. Didn't have the cleanest of runs there. Harry Banks has got himself up into 6th place. Rudy into 3rd for now, but Connor setting the early time running. We know Tom can improve ever so slightly at some point, and Jensen, he's gone out on a set of mediums, and I think he's actually invalidated this first run.
I believe he got this and next lap invalidated, if I'm not mistaken. So I brought on board early on in the lap, and he certainly got invalidated then. And now, coming around the final corner, would have been a 1:31 flat on a set of medium compound tyre. Looks like he could go for another run. Noah Jones is also in lap. He invalidated his last lap as well. And the former IFR man now coming through turn 5 and in towards the right-hander of turn number 6. 33 flat once again through the first sector. We saw in qualifying an F2 around here. The lap times sort of go down into towards the low 130s, and that's exactly what I'm expecting here tonight in terms of the lap times. Funky Chicken goes second in the Alpine, so a good lap from him, 130.7, just ahead of Tom Rubble. But we should see, as the track evolves, really begin to see improvements. Noah's coming through turn 10, and now through the right-hander of turn 11, the Kingsford, I should say, through turn 11, and then towards 12 and 13. He could run out of fuel, however, on this lap, so I'm not sure if he's actually on a run. It's a 104.6 through the middle sector, which is quite quick, and now he's purple out of everyone coming through the middle sector, but he hasn't had a lap time in, so give that with a bit of caution. Jensen also on a lap on that set of mediums. He looks like he's going for that run as well, but Noah now coming through in towards turn 16, over-rotates the car slightly. Is he coming into the pit lane? No, he commits at least for another run coming through 17, and then through the right-hander of 18. Not a bad lap this from Noah as he comes towards the line. A little bit out of shape, but a 31.2 puts him into 7th. Jensen through the middle sector, 107.7, so clearly not on a fast run.
No, Jensen was down ever so slightly in the first sector as well by about a second, so not on a fast run. Unsurprisingly, that McLaren diving towards the pit lane. I can tell you it's actually Tom Robbo fastest in the first sector. Funky Chicken having an absolutely fantastic middle sector of the lap there, getting himself now up into 3rd overall. He's purple in that middle sector, and Connor purple in the final. Noah's first sector was very good indeed. He just lost a bit of time compared to those faster guys in the second sector and lost quite a bit more in that middle one, so I think there is more time. Maybe those old 1 lap extra tyres just costing him, although Sochi has traditionally on the F1 game, of course, probably been one of the lightest circuits on the tyres whatsoever. You can get the soft tyres almost towards half distance, possibly over, if we get an early safety car.
Yeah, definitely. Still seeing the timing screens light up, by the way, for our man in 17th. Bassi, the reserve, is on the lap, and he's quickest out of everyone through the first sector, 32.9. He now comes through turn 9, and then towards the right-hander of turn 10. And the Alfa Romeo looking very quick here on his lap so far. Really negated so much. He might have just lost it coming out of turn 10. Loses time, but will he lose the momentum? I don't think he has, to be honest. He's now on the run down in towards 12 and 13, and this middle sector is crucial. 104.6. Noah obviously around sort of lap time, and Basti I think has lost the time actually in this middle sector, 31.6, and way off Funky Chicken's first sector of 31.2. And I have a theory about that middle sector. I think Funky got a bit of slipstream of Chalkers. Chalkers was also on a lap as well, and he was just a little bit ahead of him out on track. So I wonder if Funky Chicken backed off in his out lap, as now Basti comes across the line and goes into 6th with a 31 flat. But I'm just thinking Funky Chicken's second. I think he's used tow from somebody at least to get into 3rd.
Can't really blame him for that, to be honest. It's definitely a big advantage on that run down, even if it is someone on an out lap. So I think the teams could be, if they're thinking intelligently about this, it could be definitely some option that they explore. TRT Luke going on a lap at the moment. I believe this is his first running this season for the new TRT man, reserving in the Haas tonight, replacing Perpetuum, who is unable to make it. 31.4 in the middle sector so far, and a 33.2 in that first sector. So he's looking decidedly midfield at this moment in time, possibly around where Noah, Boss Wanted and Harry Banks are at the lower stages of the top 10, but we'll see what he can do as he comes around the final corner in the Haas. And yeah, does slot in between Noah and Boss Wanted. So a 131.288 for him. A few drivers now are starting to get on their second runs. We'll see what Tom Robbo can do, because he definitely made a mistake coming through turns 8 and 9 last time around, which cost him a couple of tenths of a second, and just ever so slightly wide there coming through turn number 4. And that is an invalidation. We could see a lot of time penalties around this circuit. This track and France always strike me as a circuit where it's very easy and very tempting to just push that track limit a tiny bit too far over the edge.
Yeah, track limits are very extensive, I've got to say. Probably more extensive on this game than previous versions of the F1 game. But Russia around here, I know, especially the curbs coming through 7, through 8 and then 9. If you just pick up a bit of a run, an off-camber run coming through there, you will invalidate the car. And that's why Tom Robbo obviously has backed off his lap, obviously invalidating on the exit of turn 5. Connor, Luca, Funky Chicken currently at top 3. I didn't even see Luca, by the way, go second on a 130.7. So good lap there from Luca in the hash. Rudy is invalid through the first sector. Basti is not on a lap either. Fleddy is a 10.5 down to the first sector. Just seeing if there's anybody else on a lap further ahead. Zerdimer looks like he's getting a bit of a tow, and actually he's going to work with Funky Chicken once again in terms of the tow, and this is why we saw the middle sectors come in, and he's pretty much 6 tenths up on his lap. So Zerdimer now coming through in towards the middle sector. This is really the only improvement I could see there out on track at the minute. Connor has just started up on a lap coming through turn 5 as well, but Zerdimer now coming in towards turn 15 and 16. Of course, TTML F2 champion last season. He will be hoping, of course, to try and build the ladder and build a challenge, possibly towards Jensen, who is still yet to get a lap time in. He is on one now, however, though. Zerdimer on the run to the line. He goes 11th, so he's on the bubble there inside the top, just on the outside of the top 10. Jensen, again, doesn't look like he's pushing, coming through the middle sector. Looks well off in terms of his time. I think he just wants to try and get a lap time on the board.
Yeah, I don't think he's too fussed about things this time around. Someone who definitely is pushing, though, Connor, fastest of everyone in that first sector originally. I think Tom Robbo's just nearly matched that and improving again in the middle sector as Harry Banks gets himself up. Reigning F1 champion, returned as a full-time driver last time around, I believe, to the Red Bull team, finishing just inside the points in 8th place. But Connor coming through this final sector now. What can he do? Can he be that first man? Well, he's done 135 at the moment. I don't think he's going to get into the 129s somehow, but there's definitely an improvement here. Maybe a 130.2 or 130.3. And there we go, actually slightly slower than his personal best in that final sector. 130.384 for Connor, then puts him even further ahead of Harry Banks, and another man who's improving and looking to get himself on the front row of the grid. 6 minutes 15 remaining. Tom Robbo, quarter of a second up through the first 2 sectors.
He is. He's coming round through turn 17 and now through the right hand of 18. Just overruns the curb slightly, but no invalidation through there. Tom Robbo to the line. He goes quickest, 130.2, and now lays the smackdown on Connor in terms of how the lap times have really came about. 1.5 tenths separating. Tom Robbo out in front. Connor there in second. Harry Banks in third. Luca was up through the first sector. Backed off in the middle sector. He was 2 seconds down. And across the line, he was 3 seconds down. In fact, on his lap time. Bunty, by the way, went 6th. So good lap there from him, the Brit. Luca there in fourth. Harry Banks there in third, as we've already mentioned. Fleddy is improving slightly, I think. 300s down, in fact, he is coming out the final corner. But he does improve it 2 tenths in the final sector. And he goes up to 6th, 30.8. Bunty there in 9th. Noah Jones there in 10th as well. Smalley is down on a lap. I think he improved on a set of mediums, if I'm not mistaken. Boss Wanted not on a lap. Chalkers is, he's 200 down through the end of the first sector. Jensen is as well, and he is 8.5 seconds up, but I think it's one of the fastest middle sectors we've seen.
Yeah, 32.9 in the first sector, 31.4 in the middle sector. So just looking at the times that we've seen at the moment, he's about 2 tenths off of Tom Robbo, but this could definitely, if it nails it through the final part of the lap, should expect him to put him on that second row of the grid. We just saw Daniel go all out through the final corner and actually spin as he came across the line. CPI Daniel putting the Alpha Tauri into 15th place. Jensen comes towards the line, does go into 3rd position, 200ths of a second ahead of Harry Banks. Not bad whatsoever. It looks like Luca's going for another bit of a run here. He's getting a tow from Smalley. I'm not sure this is intentional, and he might have had to back off on his lap.
Yeah, Luca is down on his lap, 4.5 seconds down on his lap. Smalley is on a lap, I think. No, he's not. They're both not on laps either. So Chalkers, I think, is, though. He's 3 tenths up at the end of the middle sector. Now through the final corner. I think he's going to improve a lap time, not improve his position. 5 tenths off the 7 tenths off the pace. 5 tenths improvement, though, from Chalkers. He stays in 17th. Everyone has got a lap in. Tom Robbo leading the way. Connor there in second, Jensen in third. The yellow flags in sector 3 for a Mercedes, I think, of Fleddy, if I'm not mistaken. He's the only one here tonight. There is that yellow flag in there, and I believe he's run out of field. But I will determine how many minutes are left in the session once the yellow flags do go off, and once he decides to come into the pit lane. Tom over the out on top, Connor second, Jensen in third, and with less than 4 minutes to go, we should be seeing everyone begin to come out of the pit lane for their final runs.
Yeah, I wonder if we will see drivers try that slipstream again. Zuidema, did he utilise it? It's probably a good job for him that he did. He's really struggling at this moment in time. Down in 15th place. It's pretty close, though. At that low end of the order, he's only about 1.5 tenths off of Noah Jones, who's in the prime alternate strategy position at the moment, starting in that 11th place. The sort of bonus prize of being the first man on that alternate strategy. Not as important around here as it is at some other circuits, but as always, you can definitely gain a lot of time by starting on that alternate strategy. One driver who was trying to improve at the moment is TRT Luke. Could well get himself into the top 10 with this time as he comes round the final couple of corners in the Haas. What's it going to be for Luke? Does it go up to 7th place, and 1:30.751 found big chunks of time in the first and final sector. So you think if he can hook it up in that middle sector as well, could be challenging his teammate for a top 5 place.
Yeah, I rode on board with that lap, to be honest. That final sector, he was only 2 tenths up going into the final sector and found 3.5 tenths in that final sector alone. So Luke goes 7th, the new TRT son, of course, there in 7th. Noah Jones is out on an out lap as well. Zerdema, however, is going to be the first to commit onto a lap. The Alpine in behind, 2.5 minutes to go into the session. Tom Mobile leading the way, Connor in second, Jensen in third, Harry Banks fourth, and Luke around off the top 5. But where is Zerdema going to put his Alpine as he now comes across the line to start himself on board on this lap in the Alpine, otherwise known as L-Plan, of course, for the final race in Abu Dhabi. And now, on the run, goes the Dutchman down in towards turn 2. And we'll see what his lap time is going to be like as he runs down in towards turn 2, runs wide of the curb slightly, just negates the speed away slightly, now through 3, and then through the left-hander of turn 4. And this is towards the end of the first sector. I spar with Marlis Lies, something we've been with possibly W, out on track, that is ahead of him, or A, that is Funky Chicken, possibly just ahead of him, out on track. 33 flat though through the first sector, and Zerderman now, if that is Funky Chicken ahead of him, which I think it is, he will have to try and utilise them up on in terms of this lap. Tom Oberlo out on top, Connor second, Jensen in third, and Zerderman invalidates, gets caught on the curb through 7. I've done that plenty of times around here before, sometimes ended up into the wall as well. And I think with the communication, Funky Chicken doesn't even know that he's invalidated on this lap.
Yeah, so Funky Chicken might as well try it. Well, he might as well drop behind Zoidema here, because I'd expect the Dutchman to repay the favour. Very easily done through that quite tricky part of the track. 7, 8, and then say turn 9 as well. That inside curb at turn 9, probably one of the worst of the game, for being able to take off over it. As you see Noah there, give it a bit of a clunk, but just about get away with it. He's in 12th at the moment, got his best finish of the season. Last time out did the Aston Martin man with 2nd position in the end after all the penalties came through. So we'll see what sort of time he's doing as he comes through the middle sector. Up ever so slightly in sector 1, only by 2 thousandths of a second. He's now a 10th up on this lap here, so isn't going to gain him any positions at the moment unless he has a fantastic final sector, but could just solidify. Oh, and he spun it into the barriers. Broken front wing, and that is qualifying over for Noah Jones.
So unfortunate, got caught on the curve coming through turn 12, 13 and 14. Connor, however, purple in the middle sector, and he is up by 400ths of a second, and he is the one that's actually behind a little bit of a train. Noah spun again into the TLT loop, has retired into the pit lane. So Connor now coming through 15, now through 16. Of course, if you're on yellow flags, Noah's actually crashing the wall on the left-hand side. But now Connor on the run in towards the final couple of corners. Through 17, through 18. Can he find a really good chunk of time? Jensen gets out of the way to the left-hand side of him. And Connor runs to the line, and he doesn't improve his position, but he does improve his lap by 700ths of a second. And he goes second. Jensen got so far out the way, he was almost going in towards the Black Sea there. But Harry Banks in 4th, Luca in 5th. Tom Roberts retired from the session, so he feels like he's done enough. I don't think so, though.
I wonder if he's actually crashed out on circuit. Luca comes round the final corner and gets himself into 3rd place, just trying to get on board with... oh, I knew I'd picked the wrong Alpha Tauri, but I think, Tom Roberts made a mistake somewhere, and I think retired...
Turn 9.
Turn 9, just got it slightly wrong, perhaps hitting that curb that I mentioned earlier. It is very easy to do. Boss Wanted coming through the final couple of corners. Checkered flag is out in this session. Down in 14th at the moment for Boss Wanted. We've seen Basti shoots himself up into 2nd place. The Alpha Tauri man gets himself into 12th. Rude is improving. He's just coming through the middle sector now, so drivers are definitely finding themselves a bit of time out there on these final runs.
I tell you what, Harry Banks, though, in this middle sector is looking very, very quick indeed. 104.3 through the middle sector. Not the quickest we've seen from everyone so far, but he is on a fly of a lap time here. Can the Brit put it up on towards the front row of the grid? Could he even put it between Basti and Connor, or maybe even get towards Tom Rubble right at the top? Tom Rubble currently out on top, but still, Harry Banks on this lap coming through the final corner, comes across the line, and he goes fourth. Good improvement there. Rudy, by the way, went up to fourth in that meantime, but now drops down to fifth. Connor not on a lap. Jensen, I don't think, is on a lap either. He's invalidated, so that is the end of qualifying. Tom Rubble out on top. He crashed coming through turn on his final lap. He didn't even need to improve on that lap time in the end. Basti there in second and Connor in third. Well placed, I think, with the top five separated by just over a tenth of a second.
Yeah, exceptionally close around what is quite a long circuit. You see 90-plus second lap times here. Jensen was up on his best time by a couple of tenths of a second, so could well have got in and around where his teammate is in that region between third and fifth place. He's going to be starting in eighth. Not ideal whatsoever. Could find it quite tough in the early stages, getting stuck inside that DRS train. Two Alpha Tauris, 12 and 13 for them. Can they take advantage of the alternate strategy? But it is Tom Robbo on pole position for the second time this season. The first time, though, he's done it in a conventional qualifying session, because the last time he got pole, of course, was courtesy of getting the sprint race victory at Imola.
Yeah, and Tom Rubble now looks on form. I've got to say tonight, I did say it could be his track, and it could be his track. Indeed, he is on pole position. Basti there in second, Connor in third. Looking at the lap times, actually, Tom Rubble's final sector is what got him on pole position. 25.9 compared to Basti on a 26th lap. Basti's first sector was 600ths of a second up, so around about the same amount of time lost and gained in that first and final sector. The middle sector, Tom Rubble was slightly quicker, but in the final sector is where the time is made up. So Tom Rubble on a very good lap. He could have improved his first sector still. It could have been a 130.1, but Tom Rubble out on top nonetheless. 600s clear of Basti in second. Connor there in third, Harry Banks in fourth. Rudy ran off the top fifth. Good qualifying from him again. Luca in sixth, Fleddy in seventh. Jensen, championship leader, down in eighth. He does tend to struggle around here, and that might now be coming to bite him on the backside. Bunty there in ninth. Very good qualifying from him. To only be 9 thousandths off the championship leader. He'll take that he'll take that easily. Funky Chicken in 10th, Luke in 11th, Boss Wanted in 12th, Daniel in 13th, Noah in 14th, Smalley, Zerma and Chalkers rounding off the top 17 drivers. All of them did manage to get a lap in, which is very good indeed. Let's have a look then once again, if we can, at the track map in question around the Sochi Autodrome. 5.8 kilometres in length, 3.6 miles, 2 of course DRS zones, running down in towards stop and straight turn 2, running down in towards turn 12. Plenty of opportunities for overtaking, Luke, but also plenty of opportunities to get your lap wrong.
Yeah, we saw quite a large number of validations. We saw a few spins as well. Noah Jones, one of those who looked like he was improving. And, of course, perhaps more importantly, the man who did get pole position. He's got confident that he's got the pace. That confidence might have just taken a tiny bit of a knock, of course, having that crash towards the end of the session. We'll see how it goes for himself and all these other drivers. It's perhaps not the best circuit to get pole position on this one either. A bit like Mexico, it is a long run down towards that first corner, well, the first real corner, the first braking zone, I should say, of turn number 2. He knows he's going to be challenged by some of the other drivers. Basti not too far behind him, Connor up there as well, Rudy and Harry Banks. Should be an interesting race.
It should be an interesting race indeed. We'll better go on to the formation lap once again. Tom Rubble is on the cleaner side of the grid, actually. Of course, all the marbles and everything collect up down on the near side where the pit wall is. So Basti will have to hope to try and get a good stop. But I saw in TTML F2, the second row of the grid especially, Connor and Harry on the second row of the grid, they will tend to get a better start than the front two, and they could easily have the run down in towards turn 2 on the back of the front two. Whether or not they will get past, though, is a different thing. Let's have a look at all the strategies that everyone is on. Top 10, of course, qualifying on that set of soft compound tyre. Everyone has a bit of a near 50-50 split further down the field. Boss Wanted, Daniel and Zerdam are going for a set of soft compound tyres. They'll be aiming, I think, to get to around lap 9, lap 10 before they pit in on a set of mediums. And everyone on a set of mediums, Luke, Noah, Smalley and Chalkers, all on a set of medium compound tyre, and they'll be hoping, I would think, to get around to lap 18, 19 before they pit in for a set of soft compound tyre. But in terms of the advantage around here, Luke, Tom Rubble obviously out in front on the cleaner side of the grid. Basti's on the dirtier side of the grid, but knowing Basti's start, he can be quick off the line. Can he try and outdo Tom Rubble down in towards turn 2?
He's definitely going to give it a go. Connor might be even a slightly better place because he's the first man with a car directly ahead of him to take everyone back to the Mexican Grand Prix. Bottas on pole position got a bit of a bad start. Hamilton got a good start, but then couldn't sweep it alongside behind his teammate without compromising in speed. So it was Verstappen starting in third, got that nice Mercedes-sized hole in the air, punched in front of him, and was just able to take the advantage in this race. If Connor gets a good start, I'd expect him to be able to have a chance to challenge at least one of the two drivers in front of him, maybe both of them. Not too surprised further down the field that we are seeing a bit of a split on the strategies because the soft tyres can last quite a long time around here. I'd be expecting those on a fresh set of softs, probably getting towards lap 10, lap 11, before they decide to come into the pits. Those on the mediums will be hoping there is not an early safety car, otherwise that could really ruin their strategy. Even if we get a safety car on maybe lap 2 or 3, we could see the soft runners come in for mediums until the end of the race.
Yeah. So, I mean, if there's an early safety car, obviously it's going to throw the strategies completely out the window, what we see currently. But all of the guys in the set of mediums, you would imagine, maybe come in, go on another set of mediums, or just purely stay out there underneath the safety car. But we are coming around the final corners. I think we're waiting on Chalkers to come around the final corner at the moment in time. But Luke, I'm going to come across to you quickly. Who's your top 3?
I am going to go Tom Robbo, Connor, and Luca.
Look at where Connor's actually positioned his car. Connor's AI is positioned pretty much off to the left-hand side of the grid slot. This is very strange indeed. Haven't really seen this, and now it jumps forward onto the grid. Very, very strange. But the 5 red lights are about to go out here, of course, in Russia. Round 6 of the championship about to begin, and it's lights out, and away we go. And Tom Rubble reacted so much quicker than Basti, and Basti's going to be outcaught by Connor running down in towards turn 1 as well, who will pick up the double toe running down in towards turn 2. Tom Rubble leads the way, Basti in second, but Basti now coming back in the slipstream, use a bit of deployment up, and now gets down the inside line and retakes the lead. Does he go straight or nearly? And now Tom Rubble goes all the way around the outside, cutting across the grass there slightly. Was Daniel further down the field? Rudy got ahead of Harry Banks and all that as well. It's nearly 3 wide as we come through turn 4. Now Basti back on the inside line of Tom Rubble trying to get the move done. He can't. Connor in behind and Rudy looking for dangers in behind. Think Basti, though, is just about going to get ahead in towards turn 6. He does. Basti is through, and he's into the lead of the race. Tom Rubble there in second, Connor in third, Rudy in fourth, Harry Banks in fifth, Fleddy up to 6th, passing Luca around the outside of turn 7. Lovely move back from Fleddy. Little bit of sideways moment, and that's Noah Jones in the wall. Noah Jones is out the wall, out of the race and in the wall, and that could deploy an early safety car. Basti, though, out on top. Tom Rubble second, Connor in third. Apart from that spin with Noah, very, very clean start.
Yeah, very clean indeed. And here comes Tom Robbo, perhaps trying to use the slipstream at this moment in time before DRS is even enabled. No safety car for that incident then involving Noah Jones. And Basti's gone way too deep into turn number 13 there. That's going to put him way offline. Tom Robbo says thank you very much. Connor unable to follow through. Tom Robbo breaking there for the corner. That's caught Basti out almost. He's having a very entertaining first lap of this race. He was in first place, looked as though it was going to be his, just went a bit too deep into turn number 13. Now he's side by side with Connor, and the Ferrari driver just gets ahead.
Jensen's into the pit lane. He picked up front wing damage. He went into the back of Fleddy, running down in towards turn 12 and 13 and got very tight. It was almost boxed in on the outside line. So Jensen is now into the pit lane, the championship leader. This is the race now where the championship might begin to open up. 1 lap 2, Funky Chicken down the inside line of Bunsey, running down in towards turn 2. Can he get the car stopped? There's a bit of contact between the Brit and the Northerner, and Funky Chicken trying to get the move done. He quite can't, and Zerma down on the inside line, and Luke on the inside line as well. And Funky Chicken has to get rid of 2 positions there. Zerma and Luke are through, and he's into 10th, 11th. Apart from that bit of contact further down the field, very clean start by everyone. Tom Rubble leading the way, Connor in second, Basti in third. Connor, though, cannot really catch up to Tom at this stage, and Tom just looks like he's got a stranglehold on this race early on.
Yeah, that mistake from Basti could prove to be a really costly mistake for himself and maybe everyone else if Tom Robbo starts streaking away, perhaps aware of how powerful DRS can be around this circuit. We've got the position changes on the left-hand side. 6 positions gained then for Zoidemer, 4 for Boss Wanted. They're the biggest winners, the biggest loser, our championship leader down in 14th, but everyone who finishes this race will manage to get some points. It's all about damage limitation for Jensen, and if there is a safety car now, I'm very surprised there wasn't one for Noah. Who knows, we could well get some more action in this race. Lap number 2, Tom Robbo still leading. Looks like Connor's been able to catch a tiny bit up there. Wonder if Basti's got a bit more of an oversteery setup, because he did look quite a few times into the braking zone. Looks as though he's had a bit of trouble with the back of that car getting it stabilised under braking.
Yeah, well, Rudy's all over the back of him coming through the final corner. Basti just seems to be running very, very wide. I wouldn't be surprised if he picks up more warnings like what he did in Imola, of course, where obviously he came in that race. Rudy, though, on the back of Basti, is he going to try the run in towards turn 2? He turns up the deployment, so he's not going to get the move done, I don't think, down in towards turn 2. Somebody that might, though, Bunty goes alongside Boss Wanton and passes him down in towards turn 2. Lovely stuff there by Bunty, and now Rudy actually gets a better run than Basti coming out of turn 3, and now through the left-hander of 4. He's going to try and loop it all the way around the outside line. He absolutely sends it down the inside line. Very late and reckless, I've got to say, from Rudy there. Might have to give it the position, and that's good sportsmanship, that, because he realised his mistake. Basti there into 3rd, Rudy there in 4th. Good sportsmanship, though, by the Dutchman.
He was never getting that one stopped in a month of Sundays. Way too deep into the braking zone there from Rudy. Shame for him, because it was looking pretty good. Great driving as well from Boss Wanted. Saw Bunty had gone a bit too deep into turn number 2. He was able to get that position back, so Boss Wanted now stays in 8th position. Luca all over the back of Fleddy here, and I'm not sure the Mercedes is going to be in DRS range, so this could be a chance for the Haas driver to move his way up the order after losing a place to Fleddy on the first lap. This is going to be one of the most straightforward overtaking moves he's ever done, and that should be the Haas driver if he gets it stopped in time through turn number 13, back up into 6th.
Bunty just locks up in behind on Boss Wanted as well. Funky Chicken getting his elbows out with Smalley, trying to go all the way around the outside of him. I think Funky Chicken actually went a bit too deep, so Smalley threw his into P12. Funky Chicken now in P13. Tom Rubber leading the way though. Connor in 2nd, Basti in 3rd, Rudy in 4th, Harry Banks in 5th. Lap 4 out of 27 about to begin. Tom Rubber leading the way, Connor in 2nd, Basti in 3rd. I'm going to quickly go for a drink because I forgot to get one before the race even begun.
Yeah, no worries. Funky Chicken into the pits then. Broken front wing, thankfully for him. Should be able to get that set of mediums to last right until the end here. Here comes Fleddy on the back of Luca. He's got a much better run down towards turn number 2, and I think he is going to make this move stick this time. Down the inside he goes, a bit too deep into turn number 2, and has he been able to hold this position, Luca's going to have to go all the way around the outside this time around, and hasn't got the pace to be able to do so. Zoidema right in on the back of Bunty as well. Great start from Zoidema in this race, gaining 6 positions. The F2 champion always has been a bit of a better racer than he is a qualifier. Very light on his tyres as well, but being such a low abrasion surface, this one, not sure that being light on his tyres is going to help him too much. But the top 5 are now beginning to streak away. You can see that gap between Harry Banks and Fleddy is up to 2 seconds. The entire top 5 drivers only separated by 2 seconds at this moment in time. But Tom Robbo far enough ahead of Connor that he's not really under any real pressure at this time around. Will Luca be putting Fleddy under quite a bit of pressure again into the braking zone of turn 13? This time, not close enough to get that move done. Fleddy just proving to be a bit of a cork in the bottle at this moment in time. Already he's lost about 3-4 more attempts to Harry Banks on this lap alone. The Mercedes driver putting in a good consistent performance, just hasn't got the pace to stick with these top 5 drivers at this moment in time, as we are about to start lap 5 of this Russian Grand Prix.
Yeah, Luca on the back of Fleddy, looking quite good at the minute for Luca. He is on the back of Fleddy, didn't want to try and get the move done there down in towards turn 12, but now running down in towards turn 2, he's got 50% of deployment yet to use, and he's now right on the back of Fleddy, and this is going to be the easiest overtake he might do in his career once again. Luca through, and he's into P6, Fleddy there in 7th. Boss one today. I'm out of breath, and I've just walked up the stairs, and I'm out of breath. Goodness me.
Oh, imagine what you'll be like after all the Christmas food's been down you, James. It's going to be so much worse than that when we come back in a couple of weeks' time. Daniel setting the fastest lap of the race. We've seen Jensen do it as well. Those medium tyres are actually looking pretty good at this point in the race. Hopefully they are keeping enough life in them to get them towards the end. I know it's still a long way to go, but yeah, Jensen, he's only used 7% of his tyres up after 2 laps, so might be a bit close towards making it to the end. We'll have to wait and see how it goes for him as the race goes on. Obviously, he will use a bit less as the fuel does burn off. Luca trying to close in then on Harry Banks. He's actually pulled a bit of a gap here over Fleddy, who might be under a bit of trouble from the Alpha Tauri in the not too distant future, because Boss Wanted is right on the back of him. While he's got DRS, he should be fine. It is going to be very hard to get a move done into turn 13 if you are 3rd man in a DRS train. Maybe though if Fleddy just drops a bit further back, or, as Luca has a bit of a moment there, and as I was saying about Luca suddenly catching up, drops back instantly, this could be a chance for a Mercedes to regain that 6th place.
Yeah, another one that looks like he's got an unstable setup. Looks like there's going to be a pit stop happening for Zerdema. He's right at the back of the DRS train, so he may as well come in and try and get an undercut and try and work something out of this race. 21 laps, I think, on a set of mediums will work indeed. Tom Rubberlow leading the way. Connor there in 2nd. Basti in 3rd. Looking at Connor's tyres, by the way, his rear left is really beginning to overwear itself. Fleddy's going side by side on the background on Luca, and he's going to get the move done and retake that position down in towards turn 2. So gets the job done, and he's soon into 6th. But now Luca will try and cut back on him, coming in towards turn 4. Basti is also side by side with Connor, running on the outside line of turn 4. Doesn't quite get the move done, and Luca once again not going to get the move done on the back of Fleddy. But Connor's tyres, that rear left looking more worn than any of the tyres that he other has on that car. His front lefts are 21%, 18%, but he's dropping time to the back of Tom Robbo, and it just looks like he's overheating those rears slightly. Tom Robbo's no better. He's on 30%. He's actually got a little bit more worn tyres. But Tom just seems to be controlling those tyres a little bit well, and Connor is just overheating them slightly, especially that rear left.
Yeah, Connor's in the situation now where he can't really afford to save the tyres. He's got to push to stay within that DRS range of Tom Robbo, and you can see how helpful the drag reduction system is. He was about 9/10 of a second behind going onto that straight. Closes it to within half a second as Lucas absolutely sent one on Fleddy here, and the two of them are going to go side by side round the exit of turn number 14. Boss wanted the first driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty. He's getting involved in this battle as well, and I think it's going to run and run down the straight towards turn number 1, as that is Bunty. It spins around, not sure, can't see from that angle whether he's got any damage. I think though he might be missing an end plate.
He's fine. He's right on end plate damage is fine. So I think Bunty, in terms of his damage, looking at it, no damage whatsoever for Bunty. I think he just caught on the curb coming round. Unlucky because he was in a very good position to try and make something out of the race. But now that spin just really negates the progress through the field for him. Harry Banks, though, on the back of Rudy, coming through turn 4 once again. Not looking quite close, though, to the back of the Dutchman. The Brit, of course, Harry Banks. Of course, he was running in the 24 Hours of F1 event. If you didn't tune into that, of course, earlier on, you can go and watch it back on YouTube, because that is the only seemingly normal stream as if we've got, because our Twitch stream did get deleted a little bit earlier on by Formula 1. So thank you very much, FOM. Tom Robbo leading the way, Connor in 2nd, Basti in 3rd, Rudy in 4th, Harry Banks in 5th. But Fleddy in 6th position, getting a bit twitchy coming out of turn 7. Boss Wanted, though, 4/10 away. He seems to be managing his tyres a lot better than Fleddy's at this stage, 32% compared to 30. And Boss Wanted now all over the back of Fleddy, and Fleddy, of course, was behind Luca before Luca came into the pit lane for a set of mediums, as Connor right on the back of Tom Robbo for the lead as well.
Yeah, Boss Wanted on the back of Fleddy here. You can see that ERS light flashing on the back of the Mercedes driver, but Boss Wanted not close enough this time around. I wonder if Fleddy or Boss Wanted are possibly going to react to that pit stop from Luca. It might be important that they do so, because you can see here Jensen is within DRS range of the Haas driver, so pitting that earlier on with the damage as well doesn't seem to have cost Jensen too much, as his teammate Luke, well, does get ahead of Rudy, and the main reason he's done that is because the McLaren driver is into the pits. The first one of the lead cars to blink, and it is the McLaren of Rudy into the pits for a set of medium tyres. Will we see any of the other front pack react?
Probably so, and I think they were trying to juke each other down towards going into the pit lane. Connor was really on the back of Tom Robbo, and he was almost going to go into the pit lane. Rudy definitely went right and definitely went into the pit lane, as we can tell. Fleddy and Boss Wanted 8th and 9th position, but where is Luca? Where is Jensen going to get out of all of this? Rudy is going to be a mile ahead of these guys. Luca is going to rejoin in 8th, and I think Jensen might rejoin in 9th because he gets the overrun on Fleddy coming out the pit lane, and if they're not careful, Zerdem is going to be through on Fleddy as well. He's on the outside line of Fleddy, wisely backs out of that. Zerdem actually goes a little bit too deep, and now Fleddy can try and have the run around the outside through turn 4, but I think that Zerdem are just beginning to pull away out of the corner. Zerdem will hold straight there in 10th position. So not ideal for Fleddy, but not a real big worry going later on into the race. Of course, he can just follow Zerma, who's off the back of Jensen by a second, but Jensen has got to try and get past Luca as well, and his tyres are going to be very much struggling towards the end of the race, and I think Connor probably looking to come into the pit lane in this lap on the back of Tom Robbo. He's still 3/10 away, Basti in behind as well, and Harry Banks. This is a 4-car train for the lead, but where are these guys going to rejoin, because it is a very similar pit lane to what we've normally seen, and Connor once again trying to juke them into the pit lane. Harry Banks though follows Basti in, and both of them are into the pit lane right at the back of the front car train.
Yeah, they're about 22 seconds ahead of Rudy with those drivers, and you can see the gaps just going down between Rudy and Tom Robbo. 23.5 seconds, it is going to drop again, 23.4 seconds, so I think there's a chance here maybe for Rudy just to end up jumping both Basti and Harry Banks in the pit lane. They'll both be going on a set of medium tyres. Tom Robbo and Connor clearly wanting those fresher mediums at the end of the race, but will they have dropped outside of DRS range of those cars in front? That could be the important question. Here comes Rudy flying down the pit lane. He's comfortably clear of Basti and Harry Banks. It is not even close. The McLaren driver nearly 2 seconds ahead of the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, undercut is so potent around. Even the Dutchman now ahead, and he's into 5th position. Basti there in 2nd. Basti now will begin to try and struggle to catch onto the back of Rudy and try and even pass him. Harry Banks is back out in 7th as well. They're luckily ahead of Luca, so their fresher compound tyres are certainly going to come into play. Connor, though, on the back of Tom Robbo. Tom Robbo actually runs wide, and Connor is going to get the DRS and now inherits the race lead. So, Tom Robbo, bit of a mistake coming out of turn 10. Didn't quite see what happened there, but Connor certainly gets the move done. We can see, and he's through and he's into the lead of the race. So now he's ahead, got track position over Tom Robbo. Both of these guys, though, are losing maybe even 2 seconds a lap at this stage on the back of Rudy. Rudy there, currently the gap to the leader is 22.4, so he's lost a second, at least this time around. Connor is in, and now Tom Robbo decides to come into the pit lane as well. So both two are in. Rudy, I think, is going to be comfortably ahead, and I think Connor and Tom Robbo maybe even rejoin behind Harry Banks.
Yeah, it's very possible. I think what must have happened, Tom Robbo did pick up his first warning at that part of the circuit. As Rudy's gone way too fast into turn number 15 there, drifting his car around, and that could just possibly save Tom Robbo and Connor. Way too optimistic there was Rudy. Going back to my original point about Tom Robbo, I think he made a slight mistake coming through turn 9, picked up a warning, and he's maybe jumped over that curb, which can cause problems, and that would have dropped him down. But yeah, Rudy has managed to stay ahead of Connor and Tom Robbo, and I think Connor's just going to get ahead of Basti as well. Tom Robbo's going to be side by side with Harry Banks. Down the inside goes Tom Robbo on the Alfa Romeo, and Harry Banks has to take avoiding action. And Luca, he's now managed to get onto the back of this train, pitting that earlier on. All of a sudden, we've got a 6-car train for the lead.
Yeah, undercut absolutely potent around here, but what these guys have got to recognise, puncture territory is key. I commentated around here in LOE on a Saturday. Tom Robbo nearly locks up into the back of Basti. Harry Banks luckily as well to avoid in that, but Tom Robbo there at 6, Harry Banks in 7. I was commentating around LOE here a few weeks ago around Russia. Montana, who was leading the race at the time, picked up a puncture 71% on that compound of tyre, and it was on a set of mediums as well. So even though that these guys are on fresh mediums, it doesn't mean to say that they're going to be picking up a puncture towards the later stages of this race. Rudy leading the way, Connor there in 2nd, currently the net lead of the race, I should say. Basti there in a net 3rd, and Luca right on the back of Harry Banks once again, nearly broke into the back of him, but the Haas right on the back of the Red Bull. Smalley and Luke, by the way, they're having a really good ding-dong now for the lead of the race. They've been going at it a few laps now, and Luke once again on the back of Smalley. These are really giving themselves a good influence on any team that might be watching. Of course, TRT Luke making his debut as Boss Wanted has gone for a spin coming through turn 15, and there's another spinner in that as well, and it's Daniel. So Daniel's also spun both AlphaTauris slightly in the walls. Boss Wanted certainly lost time. Daniel spun by himself, so both AlphaTauris spinning as Basti is side by side with Connor.
Yeah, Basti on the back of Connor. Rudy's moving across here. We're going to be 3 wide into turn number 2. Who's going to come ahead? There's some avoided action there from Connor, and Rudy somehow manages to stay ahead in all of that. And now the Alfa Romeo of Basti is going to try and go all the way around the outside at turn number 3, because that gives you the inside line. For turn number 4, of course, there's a bit more contact, and I think there's someone else involved in that. And it's Tom Robbo who's managed to just poke his nose ahead ever so slightly, has he? Now he's going side by side with Connor. They're going to be picking up a lot of warnings in this situation, but it is Rudy who somehow manages to stay ahead in all of that. Connor now in a net 2nd place, Tom Robbo in a net 3rd, then Basti and Harry Banks, who's just been watching all of this with his popcorn out in the Red Bull. Sensational battling between all of them, just about fair. 3-1 I didn't think was going to go. We very nearly had 4-1 as Tom Robbo on the back of Connor here. Is he going to be able to dive and move down the inside into turn number 13? He's going to have to be very brave on the brakes. He is brave. That's way too late there. Connor forced into avoided action, and he drops all the way down into 8th position. I think we may see that one go to the stewards, James.
Yeah, possibly so. Tom Robert just dived it down the inside line. You get as good as you're given, really. I think that's what we saw there. And now look what this has happened. Jensen, Zerdimer, Fleddy, all in contention. Now it's a 9-car train. Yes, I repeat, a 9-car train for the lead of the race. Really leading the way. Tom Robert there in 4th at the minute. Harry Banks, though, is going to get the move done on Bassi. And actually, Bassi pulls out a little bit more, running down through the kink of 1. Connor is out of the slipstream and it's now beginning to split the pack up. Jensen, if he's not careful, will close up to the back of him, running towards turn 2. But now, on settling down, thank goodness that wasn't any contact, really, apart from what it was. Rudy there, though, in 3rd. Smalley and Luke leading the way. And actually, all of that battling has let Smalley and Luke pull away by a good second, at least, on that last lap around. And they've got a possible chance of latching onto the back of this as they go into their set of soft compound tyres.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's pretty close at this moment in time. We have a look at the gap here. Tom Robbo down to Fleddy. Well, Rudy down to Fleddy is 5 seconds at this moment in time. And we've not seen too many drivers pick up penalties as well, which is very impressive, especially around this Sochi circuit. So any penalties, any late safety cars could really have a bit of an impact here. And if these drivers keep racing as close as they are, Smalley and Luke, you never know, could get lucky, could get a safety car, then could be able to make things work off the soft tyres. Tom Robbo on the back of Rudy then, he's been able to close it right back in to that McLaren driver, but Tom Robbo just stays behind as well. Him and Connor, have they got the freshest tyres in all of this? I just wonder if that move last time around, Tom Robbo just about managed to stay on track, but there was absolutely no chance that Connor was going to be able to. That is Daniel, I think, who's had a spin coming into turn number 7.
Yeah, coming through turn 9, I think that is, in fact, Luke. But, yeah, Daniel has spun, coming right down the back of the field in 16th position. He may as well still continue on. You never know, there might be a safety car coming out very soon if this action really kicks off. And Tom Robbo's got a absolute fly past Rudy on the run down and towards turn 2, gets the job done. Eddie moves in behind, not quite. But now Tom Robbo, can he pull away from Rudy? He obviously escaped the scene as a result of the Connor incident, and now this pack of 5 are really beginning to try and get away. Connor is 9/10 off the back of Luke, just within the DRS range at this stage. But you would imagine, as you said, Luke, earlier on, that would probably go to the stewards. And the racing, honestly, has been aggressive and fair, but it is on the limit, I've got to say. And that is why I think the driver's just going to curb it down slightly as Daniel has retired into the pit lane, which is very unfortunate for him. So the CPI man is out and is the second retirement, the first actual retirement out of the race. Of course, Noah crashing a little bit earlier on. Connor, though, Jensen, in fact, dropping out of a second to Connor. And now Connor beginning to put his foot down to try and get onto the back of Luca once again. Smalley, though, leading the way. Luke in second. And to be honest, them both, the leaders, on that set of medium compound tyre, they're really not losing much time on the back of Tom Robert. Yeah, they've lost about a second over the last 2 laps or so, but they're still in play on their set of worn medium compound tyres. How far the softs will go, of course, in terms of their stint remains to be seen, and whether, of course, they can get even online in terms of their tyre wear remains to be seen as well. Rudy, though, on the back of Tom Robert for 3rd.
Yeah, last time around, that was actually the best lap of the race that Luke has done so far. So on 13-lap old medium tyres, he's not feeling too much pressure at the moment, despite the fact he did drift it outside of the final corner. Rudy is in the DRS range of Tom Robbo, but he's not going to be close enough to have a move, I don't think. And Tom Robbo's sort of just defending fresh air at this moment in time. Yellow flags into turn number 2, and that was just for the AI car of, as we see, Basti have to take the Fernando Alonso line through turn number 2. That was just for the AI car of Daniel there. So Basti's had a bit of a lock-up into that first corner and clearly deciding to go for that off-track runoff area through turn number 2. You do pick up a warning for that. One more, he will get a 3-second time penalty, and at this moment in time, that would drop him behind Connor and possibly even behind Jensen, depending on how things go later on in this race. So he's got to be very careful now if he goes for any overtakes.
Yeah, so close to the back of Rudy, and he nearly went into the back of him. So fortunate that he didn't, because there would have been inevitable contact, and I think Rudy would have been very much complaining to the back of the Spaniard. But Tom Robert there leading in the net lead of the race. The group of 6 beginning to get away. Jensen is not really feeling as if he's got the pace so far. I did say before the stream would even start that he might struggle around here. So unfortunately, Jensen, my curse is sadly your curse is sadly me out on track. Smalley, though, leading the way. Luke in second. Tom Robble there in third. Myself and Luke Etheridge covering the action, of course, here in Russia. Really hope you're enjoying it. If you are, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you are new. Our voices probably will go by the end of the race, considering we were up early. Certainly one of us was doing the breakfast show, and the other one was having 8 hours sleep, and then woke up to do the final 2 rounds of the 24 hours of F1 event. You can probably guess who that might have been. Smalley, though, leading the way. Luke in second. Tom Robble in third. Rudy in fourth. Rudy again, not close enough back to Tom, down in towards turn 2 on the back of Tom Robble.
Yeah, not able to get close enough whatsoever. The big problem his teammate Jensen is having, when I went on board of him coming into turn number 13, he had 0% ERS, absolutely no electrical energy whatsoever. So Jensen could find it really difficult to keep these drivers behind him. He might be hoping that there's a safety car there, as that his Basti runs very wide, just gets away without getting a warning there. Well, that might put him under a tiny bit of pressure. He's really pushing hard at the moment in this dirty air to try and stay with these guys. The train has calmed down ever so slightly. It is now back down to a paltry 6-car train. We wouldn't mind having this in real Formula 1, would we? 6 cars fighting for what is still the net lead of the race, because Smalley and Luke, I think we're going to be see pitting sooner rather than later off that set of the medium tyres to go on to a set of softs towards the end. If they come in now, probably come out just ahead of Boss Wanted in 12th position, but it would be pretty close with the Alpha Tauri driver. Things just seem to have calmed down all of a sudden. I think in the final few laps it will all start spicing up again. They know they've got to try and save some tyres, try and save a bit of electrical energy, and then just gun it in the final few laps. So there we go, Smalley and Luke both into the pits. That means Tom Robbo now regains the lead of this race.
They're probably going to come out just ahead of Boss Wanted, I think, as he comes out the pit lane. Rudy getting caught on the curb, coming through 17, loses the car slightly on the back of Tom Robble, 7/10 of a second. Daniel has left the session. We thank him, though, for attending. Tom Robble leading the way. Rudy in second, Basti in third, Harry Banks in fourth, Luca in fifth, Connor in sixth. Jensen really under pressure now from the back of Zerdimer. They tends to the gap, but look where Smalley and Luca could have come out. They're in fact going to come out just behind Boss Wanted, I think, both of them. And Smalley is side by side with Boss Wanted as they come out the pit lane. With that set of soft compound tyres, though, I don't think he is going to get the move done down towards turn 2, and he doesn't. So Smalley stays in behind. But on that set of soft compound tyres, as long as they can get those compound tyres online, and as long as they both pass Boss Wanted this lap around, it is going to be fascinating to see if they can try and close in. Connor, by the way, closing on the back of Luca, going side by side in towards turn 7, gets the job done. Lovely move that. Not sure if Luca had a mistake there, but Connor is through, and he's into 5th position. And the NSX man now beginning to try and get on the warpath.
Yeah, Connor just managed to get a bit of a nose alongside, I think, coming into turn number 5, and that forced Luca wide ever so slightly, allowing, of course, Connor to get a much better run. So he's got himself back up in towards 5th place at the moment. I think still a bit aggrieved after what happened last time out. We've had a spinner further back, and that is Chalkers, who's lost it at turn number 4. Not sure if he's managed to find his way fully towards the barrier. If so, doesn't look like he's got any major damage on that car, so shouldn't be a cause of any virtual or full safety car, of course. As Smalley has now managed to work his way ahead of Boss Wanted, as you would expect, using that pace of the soft tyres. He's tried to get onto the back of Freddy, Zoideman and Jensen. I think 7th place could be possible for one of those soft tyre runners. You'd have to say probably Smalley at this moment in time. Who's going to end up taking the victory? I'm not quite so sure. Rudy, the closest he's been for a while, onto the back of Tom Robbo here, and I think this could be a chance for him to change for the lead of the race.
He will, and Basti in behind as well could try and lap up on this, but Rudy gets the inside line in towards turn 2, gets the job done. Tom Robble sideways slightly, and now Basti is going to try and loop all the way around the outside of turn 4. It's not often you see this, as now Basti going to try and capitalise on a mistake from Tom Robble down the inside line. Can he get the job done? Tom Robble just squeezed out of the room slightly. Now Harry Banks could try and draw alongside as well. He's just off these guys by about 1/10 of a second, but Basti puts his car out wide. Harry Banks slightly lagging there, but Basti into second and holds that position. Tom Robble there in third, and Tom Robble loses that position as a result. Basti through, and he's into second. Rudy there in the lead of the race, and suddenly Tom Robble's tyres beginning to try and drop off slightly, 20% worn on that front left and the rear left. It is the left compounder tyres that do take the hit around here. Basti, though, runs wide once again, and now Tom Robble, with superior pace, can try and latch onto the back once again. It's a 6-car fight, and you can throw pretty much a blanket all over the whole lot of them at this stage. Rudy will hold the lead, though, as Basti tries to put his nose in, down in towards turn 12. Doesn't get the move done. Somebody that might, though, is Zerdimer on the back of Jensen, who waits in behind for now. But Smalley has already cut the gap to Fleddy by a second. Luke, by the way, got the move done as well. So the two soft runners beginning to try and get on the warpath in behind to try and catch the top, at least the top 7.
Yeah, and it's good news for them that they are together, because they'll be able to use the DRS, of course, which we've seen how effective it can be around this circuit to try and drag themselves along. Basti's got a lot less electrical energy here than Tom Robbo. DRS opens on both of these cars. We're going to see the red lights starting to flash on the back of Basti, and he might still be able to get close enough to Rudy to try and have a move. That's going to be a late lunge down the inside into turn number 2. There's going to be a bit of contact between them. Tom Robbo says thank you very much, and now it's Harry Banks trying to go all the way around the outside before turn number 3. He gets that position done, so that is Harry Banks up into 3rd place. Tom Robbo back into 2nd. Very optimistic there from Basti. Not sure. Well, I think I do know, actually. I think he was trying to go for that move into the lead of the race on Rudy. Tiny bit of contact was always going to happen from that far back as he runs wide coming through turn number 5. And that might just give Connor a slight bit of an opportunity. Things chopping and changing all the time in this race, but somehow Rudy ends up retaining the lead as that is another spin for Chalkers.
Yeah, Chalkers having the yellow flags out in 12 and 13 coming to the end of the middle sector. Rudy, though, leading the way. Tom was about as close as I've seen him be down in towards turn 12, and I think he's going to try and repay the favour here on the back of Rudy to the inside line. He actually backed up the throttle. We should really predict these esports guys, but we can't. Rudy leading the way, Tom Robbo in 2nd, Harry Banks in 3rd, Zernimer goes for the move on Jensen down the hill in towards turn 13, so gets the job done coming through 12, now through 13 and 14. He gets the job done, he's through and he's into 7th, and now they can try and close up onto the back once again. Smalley has gained another 1.6 seconds so far this lap, now 1.7, and he's still beginning to close in. It's nearly a 2-second gain this lap around. Smalley might even, if he gets through on Jensen, Freddy and Zernimer, that's going to be the real cork in the bottle for them. But if they get through them, they could have a path on their way to a possible victory. And I'm not even kidding, as Tom Robbo is about to go for the move on the back of Rudy, but he has no intentions of Liverpudlian to try and get the move done.
Yeah, and I wonder whether that could start costing them later on if they just keep hanging back. If we see Smalley and Luke get close, what might save these front 6 drivers is by the time Smalley and Luke get up to the back of them, they'll have taken the best out of their soft tyres, and that tyre delta will be decreasing every single lap. I don't think the Alpha and the Haas will have any problems getting past Zoidemer, Jensen and Fleddy. They might be able to even do it at this part of the circuit where they can just use the superior traction of their soft tyres. Anywhere else getting further up the order could just be slightly difficult for them. They have dropped Boss Wanted by quite a big margin. You can see 2.7 seconds back to the Alpha Tauri man from the Haas, and they are closing up on Fleddy lap after lap after lap as again Tom Robbo in DRS range, and again doesn't look like he's going to really bother going for it into turn number 13. We could well see some almost esports tactics, I wonder, later on in this race as Tom Robbo just hangs back now, and again Basti, he loves showing a nose to all the drivers ahead of him, keeps getting away with it for now. I know he did lose a few positions, but hasn't managed to get any damage. I just wonder if he does that later on with all the tyres, he might get into a tiny bit of trouble.
I think he will, to be honest. He struggled in Imola, remember, as well, and he was very, very high in terms of tyre wear and very high in terms of penalties. I'm shocked, actually, that he hasn't picked up as many penalties as what he has so far. He actually hasn't picked up any here tonight compared to what he did, of course, in Imola. Rudy, though, leading the way. It's 8 laps to go. Tom Robbo there in 2nd. Once again, Tom Robbo on the back of Rudy. Is he going to go for the move this time around? No, waiting behind. Once again, we rinse and repeat here in TTML F1. But Rudy leading the way, Tom Robbo 2nd, Harry Banks in 3rd, and Harry now looking as close as he ever has done to the back of Tom Robbo. Basti not too far farther, and he's actually using a bit of deployment coming through the left hand of 4, now through 5. Not going to get the move done there, but Connor, Luca, top 5 are just beginning to pull away. I think Luca on that slightly more worn set of medium compound tyres now beginning to struggle, and he is now beginning to struggle to try and keep up with the pace. Zernimer just runs wide slightly coming through turn 6 as well. Smalley and Luke, though, they've negated their progress somewhat because they're beginning to battle each other, and 2 set of soft compound tyre runners battling is not good for your chances in this race at all.
No, of course, they need to work together at the DRS straight, but everywhere else it is going to be a bit of a hassle. As we look at the ERS of the few drivers, as I think this time Tom Robbo is actually going to go for the move down the inside into turn number 13, and that was fairly straightforward in the end. Tom Robbo regains the lead of this race. He's got 50% ERS as Connor gets very close to Basti there. The Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari battling.
Lovely.
Connor gets his position done. Basti's on 18% ERS. Connor's in the mid-20s. Harry Banks has got a full battery here in that Red Bull, so you feel like if he wants to use it, he definitely could to get himself a long way up the order. Jensen seems to have found a bit of pace now that he's maybe saved a bit of battery in that McLaren. He's got himself back up into 7th place ahead of Zoidemer, but things are chopping and changing. That battle in between Connor and Basti has just brought Luca back into play ever so slightly.
Yeah, Bassey's going to try and have the run as well, and Connor running down in towards turn 2. He's not going to be close enough, but again, Connor very, very close to the back of Harry Banks. He just likes locking up in towards turn 2, and likes showing his nose in as well as Bassey. So Bassey there in 5th, Luca in 6th. It's only this DRS train that's really keeping them alive. Jensen is finding the pace, but this might be now the second life that he gets on those tyres, compared to, of course, the rest of the field, who will get their second life right towards the end of this race. So Jensen is going to be struggling. That is Chalkers once again in the wall coming out of turn number 7. He's luckily recovered the car. No front wing damage, I don't think, on the car either. There isn't. So Chalkers had another spin, and he's about to get lapped by the front lot. But this could actually help Tom Rubbo, to be honest. Both Williams, of course, one is going to be a lap down, one is in the lead of the race, and Tom Rubbo, I think, is probably wanting Chalkers to get a little bit closer to him, so Tom Rubbo can have a bit of free DRS here off the back of his own teammate.
Yeah, we saw something similar happen in EML League, EML Premier, earlier in the week with Team TTG there, and I think they did get into a bit of trouble for that because it was very obvious what they were trying to do there. Luke gets ahead of Smalley, and that could be an important time to do it because they now are nearly on the back of this train for 7th place. So Luke getting that moved on there. Luca picks up a time penalty. 6th place is going to be the best he's going to manage today, unless some of the drivers ahead of him pick up a time penalty as well. I'll go on board with Tom Robbo to see if he has got DRS, and fair play to Chalkers. Not interested in helping his teammate at this moment in time, keeping it nice and fair and not getting involved in this battle. Rudy, is he going to be close enough to have a go here on the Williams driver? Stays in behind for now, as does Harry Banks, who's just finding things a bit awkward at the moment. When you're 3rd man in the DRS train, unless the cars in front of you make a mistake or you've got a supreme tyre delta or straight line speed advantage, it's extremely tough to overtake.
It is extremely tricky to overtake. Rudy, by the way, down in towards turn 2. Oh, there's a car off in the background. That is Jensen off, going out wide, coming through turn 5. Luckily recovered the car. There was just a car just shooting off in the background there that I saw, and I'm sure it was a McLaren coloured car. The McLaren there of Jensen hasn't lost much time. He actually kept the throttle in, and he's now still in P7. But what I was about to say, Rudy downed into 7th gear and then went back up to 8th gear just to try and negate some of that speed away. He had no intention to try and go for the move here, certainly in Russia so far. But on towards lap 23, we've got 5 laps to go. Luca is about to go for a move, I think, on Bassey on the back of his DRS train as he now looks the outside line. Will he get the switch back? Not quite. Zernemer, however, draws alongside on Jensen, and he's not close enough either. It's almost as if we've got 2 big battles going on. 1st to 6th and then 7th to 11th. Sofran is in play as well in that battle, and Luke and Smalley have probably caught this train in a really bad occasion out on the track, and they've probably caught them at exactly the wrong time.
Yeah, they're not sure. Oh, and Luke there's gone into the back of Fleddy. That sent both of them off the circuit, and Smalley's going to get one. Fleddy gets a warning, which gives him a time penalty, which I'm almost certain he will be able to get removed. And here comes Connor on the back of Harry Banks, trying to head down towards turn number 2 here. Down the inside goes the Ferrari driver. Harry Banks is going to try and hang it off round the outside, which is a brave thing to do, and he gets sent flying over the curb there. Does he retain that position? No, Connor does end up getting that. I think Harry would have been told maybe to give that position back. So that is Connor up into 3rd place. That bit of battling just gives Rudy a tiny bit of breathing room. Big thank you to TTG_Kermit as well, the owner, of course, of TTG, and heavily involved in the running of TTML, for the £2 donation.
Stuff. Tom Rubble, though, leading the way. If you are enjoying, of course, you can donate within the YouTube comment sections right at the bottom. Chalkers getting out of the way of the battle for the lead there as well. But Tom Rubble leading the way. Rudy in 2nd. This is now where mistakes are really starting to kick in. They're coming out of turn 9 especially. If you get caught on the outside curb, you might end up in the wall. There might be a late safety car coming in this race. Rudy, though, on the back of Tom Rubble, running down in towards turn number 12 and 13. But he's, again, not going to be close enough. Basti, again, on the back of Harry Banks, is not going to be close enough. He's doing a phenomenal job, I've got to say, the Spaniard on the back of Harry Banks, and Harry's still well involved in this battle as well. It's all really going to come down to who can make the least amount of mistakes, I think, in these final 4 laps. And now, with the 6-car train, all hell is about to break loose.
Yeah, but it's, especially if you're at the back of the train, it's pretty much now or never when you've got to start thinking, right, where do I get these moves done? If you're Rudy, you can possibly afford to wait until lap 27 out of 27 to try and get this done. But for everyone else, they've got to start thinking now and start being a bit tactical. Here comes Luca on the back of Basti then. That red light just flashing on the back of the Alfa Romeo. Basti, bit of a late defence there, but think it was just about legal. Compromises line in through turn number 2 though, and this is really dropping the pair of them off the back of this train. Luca's on the inside for turn number 3. This is going to be the outside for turn number 4, as I think Fleddy's had a bit of an incident. He's dropped down the order coming out of turn number 2 as well, so he's now down into 12th position. Been a bit of a bad race for the Mercedes team, obviously with only one driver, and Fleddy not scoring many points whatsoever, so advantage McLaren definitely in the constructors, with Rudy in 2nd place at this moment in time. Luca tried it there, he almost forced Basti off of line. In the end, unable to get this position, which just shows again how difficult things are in this train. I think for the winner to come outside of Tom Robbo and Rudy, you're going to have to see these two battling and maybe forcing another one into a mistake.
Here's Harry Banks on the back of Connor, going to launch it down the inside line in towards turn 12. He's alongside, he draws along now, and can the red will get the move down the inside of turn 13? Not quite. Connor hangs him out to dry. There's a little bit of contact between them both, but Harry gets a little bit squirrely himself and nearly forced Connor into a mistake. Connor forced him off track, and now Harry Banks battles it back, and now Basti and Luca, that's over-aggressive racing between them both, and Connor nearly puts himself into Basti. Not sure what on earth he's doing there, but Basti now runs out wide. It's all getting very, very aggressive out on track, if I've got to be honest. And now Tom Robbo and Rudy are certainly on for this win of the race. Connor there in 3rd, Harry Banks in 4th, Basti in 5th, Luca in 6th. Now Basti's going to get the run. It's going to be 3 wide down towards turn 1. It's Connor nearly forces Basti into the wall, coming towards the pit lane there. Harry Banks thrown into 3rd, Basti down the inside of 4th. Very, very aggressive racing, and this will certainly get looked into by the stewards.
Yeah, certainly. I think I don't know where it all started with that. There was a bit of cars getting locked together, and I think Basti's got some front wing damage up against the pit wall. Very possibly. Slowed down quite a lot there coming through turn number 3, and he's dropped a long way back. Doesn't show any on the TAS system, but I don't think it's actually showing a lot for Basti.
Might be side pod.
So maybe some side pod damage or some other. He has got multiple warnings. Basti really in big trouble now. Can't see from that angle, but he is plummeting down off the back of this train. Can Harry get back onto this train, of course? So that is Luke who's retired through the race, coming through. That is coming through turn number 7. It is too late to cause a safety car. Such a shame for Luke, who was in a really good position on that set of the soft tyres. So he is now out of this race. You can see he's just spun coming through turn number 7, so he will not be scoring any points whatsoever. Rudy still on the back of Tom Robbo. Harry's used up a lot of ERS, getting himself up into 3rd place, so I think he's going to find it quite difficult now. Things changing all the time in this race. A Small, he's now got ahead of Jensen, championship leader, down into 9th, but can his teammate do him a favour and stop Tom Robbo winning this race?
Yeah, total shift change in terms of the McLarens here tonight. Of course, they're both battling it in terms of the constructor standings. Jensen still on the back of Smalley, and then Zerdamer's on the head of that battle as well, along with Basti. So Basti really struggling, either with floor damage or side pod damage. It's got to be one of the two, because he's really struggling out on track, and Zerdamer absolutely saunters on by, down and through the kink of turn 1, and now Basti will try and draw alongside once again. He just doesn't have the speed at all. He's not going to try and live it up, and Smalley and Jensen and behind, I think, are probably going to gain positions on this lap as well. As now Smalley goes to the outside line, coming through turn number 4. Can he get the move done? Basti backs out of the power. Definitely got either front wing damage or certainly side pod damage. And Smalley there through, and he's into 7. That was easy in the end. As now Basti goes off ahead of Jensen, rejoins track, and he's down at 9th, and now can just try and troop on to try and get that for P9 towards the end of the race. Tom Robbo leading the way though, Rudy in 2nd. Harry Banks, he might have used up a lot of ERS, but look at how far he's behind. 7/10 of a second. Do not discount Harry Banks out of this at all.
Yeah, this train has closed up, and Connor as well still on the back of Harry Banks. Lucas dropped back ever so slightly, but he's still on to get a 5th position as things stand at this moment in time. That penalty will not cost him anything. Rudy really closing in to the back of Tom Robbo, who's been saving a bit of that electrical energy here, saving some of his hybrid power unit. He wants to claim that 2nd win of the season. He wants to really get himself back into championship contention, with Jensen having a bit of a poor run here to what will possibly be 7th place in the end after in-game penalties. We'll have to see if there's any after penalties that are applied, because I do think Tom Robbo went for a bit of a lunge earlier on, but there's been so much going on the lead of this race. Final lap, and straight away Tom Robbo proving there he wants to be giving absolutely no slipstream to Rudy, who's not really close enough to challenge him. He's not going to have a go into this first braking zone at turn 2. Turn 13's really the last realistic opportunity.
Yeah, Smalley on the back of Zerdam, a little further down the field. They're going side by side down in towards turn 2, and Smalley is going to get the move done on Zerdam, and he's into P6. So those set of softs still coming into play towards the end of the race, and he makes it look quite easy there, Smalley. Fernie's into 6th. Rudy, though, on the back of Tom Rubble. It's only going to be turn 12, really, and that's going to be the final chance where he can actually try and get the move done. But the Brit currently holding on. The Liverpudlian of Tom Rubble looking for a second win of the season. Rudy looking for his first. Harry Banks looking for his first, and so is Connor as well. So we could have a first-time winner here, but we could have a two-time winner in Tom Rubble. And I think with Rudy's mistake coming through turn 7, that is it, because I think Tom Rubble's going to win this now.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, he's got a lot more electrical energy than Rudy. We're going to see the red light start flashing if we have the right camera angle. There we go, on the back of the McLaren, and Tom Robbo looking pretty fine with the ERS. Boss Once has picked up another penalty. He's really close to the back of Basti, though. He should be able to get that move done. Basti trying to just hold on to that position. He's got some major damage to that car. It was quite a big shunt with the wall. Wouldn't be surprised if it would have caused a retirement. But all Tom Robbo's got to do, negotiate the final few corners. He's been under a lot of pressure in this race, but it looks like he's going to come through.
He is coming through turn 17 as the cloud begins to build over the circuit. Tom Robbo thought he was going to run out of fuel towards the end of the race. He's not. Tom Robbo crossed the line to win here in Russia. Rudy in second, Harry Banks in third, Connor in fourth, crashes across the line as well. What could it have been for him? Luca there in fifth, Smalley in sixth, Zerdema in seventh, jumps up to sixth in the end. Jensen in the end is seventh. Somehow, in that race, Smalley in 8th, Bus wanted around the final corner to finish in 9th, and Basti is literally being shoved across the line by Fleddy, very close between them both, 900 of a second separating Basti in 9th, Fleddy in 10th, Funky Chicken in 11th, Bus wanted now down to 12th, Bunty in 13th, we wait on Chalkers to finish, he's a lap down, but he will still complete in 14th position. Tom Rubble winning though, Rudy in second, Harry Banks in third, Connor in fourth, very tight towards the end of the race, very aggressive race, if I've got to be honest, even Russia's Chalkers just spins the car out of the final corner, crosses the line in 14th, but at least he picks up some points, and that is, of course, the Russian Grand Prix over and done with, and the final Grand Prix, of course, before Christmas, the drive of the day. What about the in-game fans? XL Zerdema.
Yeah, I think obviously you get that for picking up the most positions, and at the start of the race, Zerdema had an absolutely fantastic first lap of the race. We'll discuss who our driver today will be a bit later on. Superb performance there by Tom Robbo. Ray have qualified on pole, dropped back quite a few times in that race. I know at one bit it looked like even getting a podium was going to be a struggle. Thought well, kept a lot of ERS on the final lap, which meant even without the mistake, I'm not sure Rudy would have had much of a chance of taking his first victory of the season. So it is another second place for the McLaren man.
Yeah, second place for the McLaren man indeed. And let's have a look then at the grid order. All provisional, of course. It will change, of course, I'm sure, with any stupiding penalties. But Tom Rubbo wins here in Russia from Rudy in second. Harry Banks in third. Very good drives, I've got to say, by the whole lot of them. Connor there in fourth. Got his elbows out when needed. Finishes fourth in the end. Luca in fifth. Zerdema in sixth. Jensen there in seventh. Smalley in eighth. Jensen still maintains the championship lead going into the Christmas break. Basti there in 9th, and Fleddy ran off the top 10. Funky Chicken, Boss Wanted, Bunty and Chalkers all get round to finish 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th respectively. Luke crashing out the race gets 15th, so he will not pick up any results. Neither will Daniel or Noah Jones, who of course crashed out on the very first lap. But Tom Rubber wins. Rudy second, Harry Banks in third. I think we should try and get the top 3 in.
Yeah, we should. It was like we said, a very interesting race for the top 3. I'm sure they'll have a lot to say about that. The IFR winning streak. No, he actually doesn't continue because Tom Robbo left IFR early on. He's just not changed his PSN name yet, but I suppose we could say the IFR winning streak does continue. Great job by him. Rudy doing the sort of job you'd almost a perfect job as a teammate of the guy leading the championship at the moment. Yes, couldn't stop Tom Robbo winning this race, but a second place with Mercedes having a bad position really puts McLaren in good fortune with the Constructors' Championship. And great to see Harry Banks back on the podium. He's not been able to make many races this season. Good job by him to get his first podium of the season in only his second appearance.
Yeah, back to form, I've got to say, from Harry Banks as well. Looked disappointing in his only start this season, but now back to form and back on with a podium. Hopefully he can commit more time. Of course, TTML after we come back from the Christmas break, and hopefully you will be back with us, of course, after the Christmas break as well as we go to Canada, which will be the next race, of course, and that'll be in around 2 or 3 weeks' time. But I can see drivers within the waiting room, Mr. Tom Robbo and Mr. Harry Banks, are both going to be joining us here in the waiting room. As my voice begins to go, you can probably tell I've been commentating all day. Tom Robbo, though, P1 for you, out on track, second win of the season. It got very messy towards the end of the race, but talk us through it because that was quite a commanding victory in the end.
Yeah, it did get a bit crazy, like with the Basti and Connor. It was a bit hard to go 3 wide when the guy behind decided to send it, but yeah, I couldn't really do anything about that. But yeah, I think we all came out without damage, so it was actually pretty fine. And yeah, it was a fun race.
I've just had an incident where I've just spilt my drink all over me. Luke, you might have to take over while I clean up. Sorry.
Yeah, you were involved in quite a few battles there, Tom. I noticed you saved some. Seemed to have a bit more ERS than Rudy at the end of the race. Was that intentional by you, just to try and defend any possible attacks from the McLaren driver?
Yeah, whilst I was behind him, I was just lifting and coasting and into corners, trying to save ERS because it was really hard to at this circuit. But if you'd already used it earlier on, so yeah, I just saved it, and when I overtook him, I didn't use any to try and make sure I could keep him behind, and yeah, it worked.
Great performance. Second victory of the season. Great way to recover after the DNF last time out. You're now second in the championship. 52 points behind Jensen. Do you think it's still a realistic opportunity in the final 4 races to go for this championship?
I mean, it's going to be difficult, but I mean, with a bit of luck, maybe. But obviously, Jensen's very, very quick and very consistent, so probably not. But I'll obviously try my best.
Yeah, we'll see if James has managed to remember how to be an adult and cleaned up his spelt drink. James, any questions from you?
Sorry, you can probably hear the hairdryer on in the background. I'm just trying to clean myself up. Yeah, I'm going into next week. Well, not next week, after the Christmas break, of course. We've got Canada coming up after the Christmas break. How do you think you're going to get on around there?
I haven't done Canada for a while, but I think I won there in PSGL, so I should do pretty decent. Hopefully.
Well, if you won there in PSGL, I think that counts as very good form going in towards our TTML race, of course. But Tom Robbo, go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you. Thanks for comms.
You're very welcome indeed. We will now move on to the man, of course, who finished in PT with us, Rudy. And Rudy, believe it's your second podium in a row as well. Talk us through the race from your perspective. Once again, it was quite aggressive towards the end.
Yeah, I had a pretty good qualifying. So I started P5, and then at the start, I think I overtook Harry because he had a pretty poor start. But I did have to go to the escape route. But I won a position there. Was just trying to make up places in the first part of the race. One time I tried to go for a move. I don't remember who it was, but I kind of braked myself, and we both went off. So then I gave back the position. So I hope that's gonna be okay. But we'll see. And I went for the undercut, and it was very powerful because on my 2 laps after my pit stops, I made a very big mistake twice at the same corner and lost tons of time, and I still managed to jump Tom and Connor, etc. So yeah, that was crucial for my race. And then when Tom overtook me, I was just trying to save ERS, and but yeah, he made a bit too much mistakes at the end. I couldn't quite stay close to him to go for a move on the final lap, but yeah, fair enough. He had the pace. So
yeah, because coming out the final corner, we saw you got a little bit wayward. You lost 0.2 of a second. Was those 0.2 that you lost crucial to try and to pick up the race win?
Yeah, it could be, but I think he had a lot more ERS because yeah, he went pretty wide as well, but I don't know if that was intentional to get a good exit. But yeah, I made a mistake. I locked the front right, and yeah, I lost a couple of tenths, but I don't think I would have made it in the end. So yeah, GG to him.
Yeah, GG's to him indeed. Luke, any questions?
Yeah, just one question from me, Rudy. You said you went for the undercut there. Was that because you were wearing your tyres out more, or were you just aware that being 5th car in the DRS train, it was always going to be difficult to get any overtakes done, so you had to try something different?
Yeah, I was surprised no one went in because I saw everyone dummying into the pits, but they all didn't go, so I decided I'd go for it because I knew the pit window was around lap 6 to lap 8, so I went for the undercut. I knew I had to make up positions, because I wouldn't have made it from P5 in the train. I had to make up positions with the undercut, and that really helped my race in the end.
Yeah, it did certainly work for you. Congratulations on the podium. I'll hand you back to James to see if he's got one final question.
Yeah, the one final question that I always ask right at the end of these streams. Canada, the Christmas break, how do you think you're going to get on?
Normally Canada's quite a difficult track for me. I'm normally pretty clean with the penalties. I normally don't get a lot, but yeah, I make a lot of mistakes there, and it's one of my worst tracks, I'd say. But who knows? Maybe I can get a shock result there, like I did today, because I didn't expect me to be up there at all. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, you never know. Jensen obviously fell by the wayside, your teammate. You seem to pick up the pieces in terms of getting a second position. So hopefully, this might be the change in form that McLaren needs in terms of the consistency as well in the Constructors' standings. But go and enjoy your evening, Rudy.
Yeah, cheers.
And now we'll move on to the man, of course, who finished in P3, first time on the podium since last season. It, of course, is Mr. Harry Banks. And Harry, talk us through the race from your perspective, because, again, it got quite aggressive at parts of that race.
Yeah, I think you could say that. I mean, I had, I think 22 very boring laps, just sort of not getting a warning and saving my battery. And then the last 5 laps, it was very clearly gloves off. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. I think we both probably was as aggressive as each other between myself and Connor. And I feel sorry for the Alfa Romeo because I think he found himself sandwiched in between our little war. But no, I think it was good fun.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was hard, but aggressive race, and I've got to be honest, it was fair though, just about within the limits, I've got to say as well, which is what we all want to see, of course, as viewers of TTML F1. But P3, of course, for you were defending champion last season. Talk us through how it must feel to obviously get back on the podium and get back to a resemblance of your old form.
Yeah, I mean it's my second race back. Definitely got to say a big thank you to you guys at the TTML for giving me a second chance. Because the start of the season came, and after Abu Dhabi and the last couple of races at the end of last season, I was just sort of really quite burnt out with league racing. So missed the first sort of half of the season, but I've been very lucky that I've you guys have given me a second chance. It's definitely not the strongest championship defense of all time, but hopefully with the last few races to go of the season, we can just try and go a bit more like today, be a bit more near the front. Zandvoort wasn't very good, but yeah, hopefully we can do a bit more like today.
Yeah, more races like that, I'm sure you will reclaim the old form back, and I'm sure the old form has probably never gone away. Luke, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
Yeah, we spoke about the tough battling in that race, Harry. You had saved a lot of ERS at some point, and then you and Connor and Basti all got involved in the final couple of laps of that race. Can you tell us how you saw that battle from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I was quite aware I had a bit more EOS. I was quite comfortable in third until one lap. I just didn't open my DRS by accident. I think I just maybe clicked the button too early or something. So then I lost the position to Connor, and I knew going into the last few laps you want to be third or second, really. If you're sort of fourth, then you're not going to get anywhere. So I've used my battery a bit, get alongside, go the inside after the second DRS, we're side by side. I think one of us gets a bit of a slide on. We both have a bit of slide on. And going into the left, right before the last 2 corners, I'm a bit ahead in the braking zone. We're side by side. He tries to run me out to the edge of the track, but I think at that point I'm entitled to space. I'm sure we probably argue otherwise. So that's why I sort of kept my foot in. Because if you back out, I'll probably lose 2 positions straight away. So I kept my foot in, and it was a tough battle. Like it was very aggressive, but I think when we all spend 22, 23 laps following each other in the DRS train, then everyone feels like they could win, and everyone's got to get their elbows out at some point, and I think that's all it was.
Yeah, I think those final laps, I think everyone realised, right, it's now on ever if we want to go for that victory today.
Exactly.
Congratulations on the podium. I'll hand you back over to James.
Final question as for everyone else. Canada after the Christmas break, how do you think you're going to get on?
Probably not very well.
That's a nice, straight on and honest answer. I like that. I appreciate it. Go and enjoy your evening, though, Harry Banks.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Very welcome indeed, and that, of course, marks off the end of tonight's live stream here for TTML F1. We really hope you enjoyed it. Of course, if you did, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you are new. Luke, I'm going to come across to you. Final thoughts and overall driver of the day, because I'm sure there's going to be quite a few that could have that award.
Yeah, I mean, contenders, obviously, could have Zoidema for the fantastic start he had to the race and doing a brilliant job. Smalley making the alternate strategy work well. I think in the end, I am going to have to go for the bit of the boring choice. I am going to have to go for Tom Robbo, especially in the final few laps of that race. Once he decided to go for the move on Rudy never really looked like close to fighting back again. So he just seemed to have that extra bit of control, and he knows it's going to be hard to catch Jensen up this season. He's caught up 13 points today. If he catches up 13 points in the remaining 4 races in each one, he'll then be tied on points with Jensen. So he's definitely still got a chance in this championship, even if he didn't sound... I'd say he sounded hopeful rather than actually believing that he might still have a chance.
Yeah, he is still here as well, so he's probably just listening to that and thinking, yeah, I'm going to come out and get 13 points again next week and try and take the fight, of course, after the Christmas break to Jensen. And, of course, Jensen fell by the wayside completely in terms of his result. Hopefully, he might try and reclaim some of that form back. But that's what happens when I say Jensen is probably going to do quite bad tonight. And look what happened. He finished in 7th. But anyways, we will gloss over that. To finally end off, by the way, I'm sure everyone in this stream has been involved in some part in the 24 Hours of F1 event. We've raised nearly £1,600 for the 24 Hours of F1 event. Me and Luke obviously did a stint together last night, and you did the breakfast show this morning, and I ended off the whole thing. And I've got to say, what a fantastic event it was to have from everyone. Every single team delivered their own good. And obviously, the F1 community came together as a result and raised nearly £1,600 for charity, which is what matters the most.
Yeah, certainly. I think quite rightfully sometimes the F1 League racing community does get quite a bit of stick. Sometimes we don't cover ourselves in the most glory, but events like the 24 Hours of F1 do show that when we do come together, we can do some real good.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think that is a very nice thing. Apart from two other things that I'm going to come on to in just a second. But that is the end for TTML F1 tonight. From myself, from Luke, from everyone here at TTML, we wish you a very peaceful and happy Christmas and a happy New Year as well. And we really hope that 2022 is going to be better than 2021. But for the final time, and I can't believe I'm saying this, for the final time this year, I've been James Head.
I've been Luke Etheridge.
Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.